All right, everyone, let's go ahead and take a look at this art club question. To keep the video short, I just did the whole thing, and then I'll kind of walk you through it. I'll use this pointer tool here. I did some highlighting of colors. I saw the small blank cards are $10 for 25. I saw the large are $15 for 20. I set up my let statements to describe S being the number of small cards and L being the number of large cards. I will admit it's a little bit confusing because it talks about boxes for 20 and boxes for 25, but then down here it just says how many types of cards must we sell. It doesn't talk about boxes, and it talks about total number of cards here. So it was a little bit unclear as to how to attack this problem. I decided to do it by card instead of by box. Once I set that up, only because the blue seemed kind of like staring at me, I went ahead and made my profit statement. I initially made the profit statement you'll see here. I made the profit statement as if we were dealing with boxes, and then when I realized I was going to do it by card instead, I divided the one box by 20 cards per box and the other one by 25 cards per box, and I thought it would be easier to use the decimal version of that. So I created the decimal version for my profit statement. Continuing on, I established right away that my small and my large were going to have no negatives, so I set that up, and I set up my chart. And then I had two other equations. The club can buy no more than 350 cards, and the club has a maximum amount of money to spend, $210. So I took the cost per number of cards and the cost per number of cards, and I set up two different equations. Again, I made a decimal version because I thought it'd be easier to use. Inside my chart, after establishing my intercepts with my S and L equations, of 350 and 280, 525. I set up my scales so that they could accommodate those numbers. I graphed as best as I could. I graphed my two initial statements by just having the first quadrant included. I graphed this line right here using my blue line. I graphed the second one, whether by decimal or by fraction, using the 280 and the 525. So that's the purple line right here. And since the shading was below or equal to, I shaded my region. Now the feasible region has 1, 2, 3 easy points to identify and one more challenging point to identify. So I did that work down here. I have my profit statement restated. I have my first, my second, and my third easy point to identify already done. And then I set up these were the two, where these two cross, that's going to be the messy one, right? That's where the blue and the purple cross. Where they cross, where this one and this one cross, that's where that middle point is. So I set up a system of equations. I solved it in pink. I figured that the overlap is going to be where the small cards is 150 and the large is 200, and I transferred that over to my last vertex in the feasible region. In each case, I just plugged in my numbers for S and L for small and large. Once I did that, I calculated all my. The largest one was the 1190, and therefore my maximum profit is for 280 large cards. That's the 280 right here. Or I divided it out and said 14 boxes of large cards. And that's the approach, short and sweet.